Hello, you are tuning into Media Soundwave. My name is Heather Cassidy and today I am joined by Dave Smithson from Anxiety UK to talk about general adult anxiety. Now, people think about anxiety and they always think it's a bad thing, but it's not always a bad thing. It's something we're all naturally born with, and if our ancestors hadn't had anxiety, we wouldn't even be here today. It has loads of benefits in our lives. It can make us better leaders because we consider all the different circumstances. If you've gone through anxiety, it can make you a better friend because you're more empathic to those around you going through similar things. It can make us more careful drivers, more cautious of accidents. There's loads of different things that it can help with. Even things like if you are a professional sports person or you're training for an exam or trying to get things right, to be able to cover all these things and think about it a little bit can be a positive thing. But the difference is being aware of when it is trying to take control of us rather than us controlling it. And that's what I want to talk to you today about, Dave, about ways that we can manage it and control it. So if you'd like to start off by telling me about Anxiety UK and the work you do there, please.
Yeah, certainly. Thank you, and thank you for inviting us on today.
Oh, thank you for joining us.
We've been around since 1970, so we're approaching our 50th anniversary in a couple of years' time. So we've got a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge within the organisation of how you can help manage anxiety, stress and anxiety-based depression, which are the sort of common ailments and conditions that people present with. And anxiety can come in many forms and many shapes and sizes, and even sort of simple phobias are a form of anxiety. So fear of flying, fear of spiders, fear of heights are typical kind of
There's
phobias.
So many different fears that people have.
That are a form of anxiety. And those kind of simple phobias often are learnt behaviours. So as a young child you would grow up and see mum or dad,
how your parents reacted to things, especially with spiders.
Exactly. So those kind of things can be a learnt behaviour. But with other people, they are born with it, it's genetic. Other people have various reasons, various triggers that will cause them to have anxiety. And what we try to do is help them and give them information and support them into getting the right help and treatment that will help them manage that anxiety. As you said, it's about you controlling the anxiety and not the anxiety controlling you.
Sometimes it's looking for the little triggers, isn't it? Hold on, actually, I've been feeling like this and this has now gone from feeling like this a little bit to, okay, it's starting to make me feel like this every time I'm doing a particular thing, or every morning I've been feeling a little bit more anxious. What would you say are the other warning signs to look out for when it comes to anxiety?
Sometimes it can be very obvious triggers, as you suggest there, and that could be being in a crowded tram or a crowded train in the morning going to work can suddenly be. So you
make your heartbeat race.
Your heartbeat, you start to feel the physical symptoms, the psychological symptoms, and then you start to adapt your behaviour accordingly. And in some cases, I mean, in extreme cases of agoraphobia, for example, people will simply lock themselves in the house and not go out. I think
that's when the big problems start, isn't it? When we actually start changing our behaviour to fit with it, and that is when it is person on your shoulder, isn't it, as you were saying earlier to me before the show.
And it starts to impact on your day-to-day functionality.
You start avoiding places, you stop going seeing friends, you might even not go to school, you might not go to work.
Or you turn up to work late constantly, then it starts to become a problem in terms of
and then you're worried about that because in your head you're constantly thinking, I'm going to be late. You might not even be late, but you're thinking already, I'm going to be late before you even are.
It's that irrational fear.
And it gets on top of you.
Yeah. And some of the physical symptoms you say, the shortness of breath, the tingling sensations, achy muscles, and that's another consideration. A lot of people will contact our helpline and say, look, I've got these physical symptoms, I've got these physical aches and pains. Yep. How can that be something to do with my mental well-being? How can that be anxiety?
Sometimes people are then taking pain medication when they don't need to be. It's something else that's causing the pain.
Exactly.
And I think, again, we were saying before about the positives that anxiety can actually have if we're in control of it and we catch it early on, is it can be a very, very good warning sign, can't it? If you've started to have these little niggles or these pains and these little doubts, I think I'm very much an advocate for, if something's not right in your life, do something about it. Let's think about how to make changes. And a little bit of anxiety might make you think, hold on, am I in the right job? Am I doing the right things? Should I be going to these places? Because obviously, if we're stopping going to places because it's an avoidance, then that's not a good thing.
Exactly.
But it might be, do you know what, am I drinking a bit too much? Am I going out partying too hard? Are these things in my life that I need to change to improve my life?
And for some people, they can do those things and it doesn't create any anxiety. That's fine. It's about your own ability to your own inner resilience to manage that. But if it is causing a problem, then you need to, if those are the triggers, whatever the triggers are, if you're able to identify the triggers that's causing it.
But it's noticing them, isn't it? And keeping a track
identifying
of
them,
it.
keeping a track of them, and then doing something about it. Changing your lifestyle, it could be, are you exercising enough?
And
Simple
exercise is such a
exercise,
key point.
it can make you feel so much better. If you feel good physically about yourself, you'll feel well mentally. It's just a natural
Completely.
extension. I went out at the weekend and visited Chester Zoo, and I ended up looking at the end of the day that I'd walked 4 miles, and you don't realise just wandering around
And
the
then
zoo.
you feel great at the end
and
of
I
the day,
felt
don't
better
you?
for it, you know. It's great to get out in the fresh air, get a bit of exercise. It doesn't have to. We're not talking here about training for the Olympics or running a marathon or
That's
challenging
another
Mo
show.
Farah
It's
to a race.
another show.
But you know, just simple exercise, walking the dog, you know, just taking a bit of fresh air, taking in the scenery around it. Mindfulness is another technique that people
Mindfulness
talk
is
about.
fantastic.
Yeah, and you can do that whilst you're out for that nice gentle stroll in the woods at the weekend. Or
Taking
whatever.
everything in, looking at
Take
the
it
colours
in.
and the sounds and the
Exactly.
smells, and just
Yeah.
thinking about in the moment, being present.
Exactly.
Being present is very good, isn't it, for people
So
dealing with anxiety?
You've got mindfulness and exercise going on. You can combine the two and make it. You know, often people say it's difficult to be disciplined enough to find the time to. Oh, I don't have time. I have busy lives. We're all rushing around.
Well, that's when you need to make time for your well-being
You do
more than
need to.
anything. When you
You
think,
do
I
need
have
to.
not got the time to do this. Well, hold on, actually, what changes can I make?
And what benefits are they going to be? Because
Even
of
if it's
those
a
changes?
5-minute walk or a 10-minute walk, we can all find 5 or 10 minutes in our day, even
Yeah.
if it's putting our phone down for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I think these days we do spend too long on our phone and not actually looking after our well-being.
And again, you know, technology is one of the factors behind the increase or the perceived increase in anxiety and stress generally.
There's the
you know,
different
it's a lot of
sides to it,
pressure.
isn't there? Because there's the whole selfie culture and how the need for likes and things like that, especially with teenagers,
Yes.
is, and also other people that may have confidence issues. And this is, I read something recently about there's this new problem where people are posting things continuously, and the more that they're posting, the more the need for the likes and the more and the reassurance. And again, this is a big worry. But on the other side, technology can help.
Yeah.
There is some
Yeah.
great things out there. We were speaking with a woman about health apps, and
Yeah.
she showed us some great apps that you can use to control anxiety and all different.
Yeah, and we work in partnership with Headspace, which is an app that a lot of people are
Yes,
aware
I've
of
seen
and use.
Headspace.
And so, you know, one of the benefits, we obviously as a national charity, we've been around a long time, but we have to, you know, we're self-financing, we're self-funding. We don't get any grants from any national charity grants. We don't get any government or local government funding. So, you know, we have a variety of different revenue streams to help sustain the charity going forward and make sure we're there to help people in the future. So, and one of the ways
more
we do
really
that
does need
is-
to be done on mental health.
yeah,
though, doesn't it?
I mean, you know, there's a lot
we're
of
getting
talk
there.
about,
There's still a lot more to be done.
a lot of progress to be made still. I mean, we have made some significant steps. The Time to Change campaign has done a lot to help reduce stigma, but there's still a long way to go. You know, the high-profile celebrities, the work that's been done by Prince Harry, Prince William, and the Duchess of Cambridge, and their Heads Together campaign has all helped to encourage people to reach out and talk to people. We're working with a young rapper called Nick Brewer. He was actually performing in Manchester only last night.
Oh, fantastic.
And a couple of my colleagues went to his gig last night. And Nick approached us last year sometime. He did his own anxiety is well documented. He's been quite open about his anxiety and how he's managed it. And he's really, by talking to people, reaching out and wanting to talk to somebody. So he was approached by Radio 1 Extra to do a poem for the Live Lounge during
They've been doing some
Mental
really,
Health
really good
Awareness Week
things
last
about mental
year.
health
Yeah.
awareness.
And Nick recreated that poem for us and created and shot a video, which is available on our YouTube channel. And Nick is now one of our celebrity patrons, and he's great because, you know, there is, you know, his genre is not top of my playlist, but you know, he's a great guy, and you know, for young people who do relate to him, that kind of role model effect that having a celebrity patron like Nick can have can be really helpful, because his message can reach
that
them
also,
and encourage them to get help and support.
On the other side of it, it's opening it up more, because the more people that actually go, hold on, there's no stigma attached to it. We all have some elements of anxiety, but it's the how far we let it go. And more people need to say, well, hold on, actually, I've had this case scenario with it and this case scenario, and this is how I've helped myself with it. And the more people realise, well, hold on, actually, I'm not alone feeling like this, because I think that's part of the problem, is when you feel alone with something. When something's bothering you, think, hold on, I can't talk to people. I don't want to upset other people by talking about it. When actually, if they did open up, somebody would probably go, actually, yeah, I've been feeling like that too, or I've been through that myself.
It's far more common than you realise. One
It
in
is
5
so
people
common.
will have some experience of anxiety at some point in their life. And as you say, it can be very isolating, very lonely. It starts to impact on your self-esteem. You start to become less confident, and if that's affecting you in the workplace and your day-to-day functioning and doing your day job, and for some people they can be really successful in their careers, but just one element. So quite a common one with public speaking or doing presentations. They suddenly get promotion, and they're now in a role where they have to do presentations to the board or something.
I was speaking to somebody about this recently.
They
there was
suddenly
a woman,
freeze.
and she had this amazing high-flying career.
Yeah.
And the next step up on the ladder meant that she would have to travel globally and do all these presentations. And she didn't take the next career step because she was so worried about, actually, I can't do this. So she kind of stayed where she was, and she had a great job and a great paycheck. But to take her to the next level, she needed the support. If people had actually come in and gone, hold on, we'll give you management training, we'll give you public speaking training. How can we help you to get where you need to be?
And sometimes, the most obvious type of support is talking therapy. Or medication. The first thing I would say to anybody who's struggling and is starting to show the signs and symptoms, and they feel that they might have a degree of anxiety that they need some help and support with, is there's lots of things you can do to look after yourself. Yeah. We've talked about exercise. Diet is important.
Diet is absolutely
really
key.
Important. We've done a lot of work with nutritionists and academics in this field. And we know there's now a lot of academic research there that tells us that there is a direct link between what you eat in the gut and your brain. So we've been working with nutritionists at Manchester Metropolitan University, and we're looking to develop that service even further to give people specific advice, and maybe even to offer them one-to-one consultations with a nutritional psychiatrist who can create a dedicated sort of recipe pack for them individually.
If people contact you, firstly, how do people get in contact with you?
Yeah, so we have website,
you have the website anxietyuk.org.uk.
We have email support, text support, live chat on our website during the day, and we have a national helpline which is 08444 775 774. That's all those channels are available to access through our website.
Brilliant.
We have a pool of volunteers that come in and help us. We're based in Hume in Manchester.
I was going to say whereabouts, because I know you're a Manchester company, but whereabouts?
We're in Hume. We're based at the Zion Community Centre.
Brilliant.
Great resource centre, and it's a great base for us. But we are a national organisation, so we international, we would say as well, because...
So do you get calls from other countries then?
We do. We get people from as far as China and the Middle East and South America contacting us.
Because that's showing you're doing something right. And if people, because it is Anxiety UK, but if people know that they actually, hold on, I can reach out to these people, and somebody is there on the other end of the phone or on the other end of an email that I can actually speak to about this.
We operate our phone line Monday to Friday, 9:30 to 5:30. We answer emails and live chats then. But if you email in at any time 24/7, we will get back to you within 24 hours from
So
a text.
if somebody
or an
emailed you
email
today and said, look, I think I'm a bit anxious, I want to do something about it and take control now before it gets any further, it started to escalate and I don't want it to, what would be the process?
Well, I think we'd try and encourage them to go and talk to a professional, talk to their GP,
Speak to their GP.
Get a formal diagnosis maybe if they needed it. Talk to somebody if they didn't want to talk to their GP, talk to a family member, talk to a friend, talk to somebody in HR or occupational health at work. But having that conversation, that initial conversation, can be a hugely important first step.
Because it's getting it off your chest. It's a weight off your shoulders, isn't it, to actually put it out there and go, hold on, this is the first step of doing something about it.
Yeah, and it's often a bit of a cliche, problem shared is problem halved, but it's true. And
it is, because it stops it being a worry for just you, doesn't it?
You keep it all bottled up inside, letting out. That's one of the
like
things.
Screaming it.
That's one of the things that Nick said in his poem, Nick Brewer's poem, and also. And we mentioned the royals, and Prince Harry did a lot of interviews last year about how he dealt with the death of his mother, and he said that
they've done
counselling,
some amazing
talking
work
to
to relate to people and get people thinking.
Yeah, and he found opening up to somebody was what
actually helped to start with.
What was bottling up inside of him. So talking to somebody is really important. So that'd be one of the steps. We'd give them information and signpost them to the kind of self-help things that they can do for themselves. So whether it's joining a self-help support group, which are all over the country.
All over the country.
We've got a directory of those.
I was going to say, do you have a directory?
We've got a directory of some of them. I mean, we don't actually run any self-help groups ourselves currently, but we work with lots of individual self-help support groups around the country, and we'll list their details
I
in a
think
directory
councils are
for
doing
them.
more, aren't they? Like I know Cheshire East Council have now got a website which is livewell.cheshireeast.gov.uk, I think it is. You'll have to check it up online if anybody wanted to look that up. If you look up Cheshire East Live Well, you'll be able to find their campaign. And with that, anybody in the Cheshire East area, or if you've got a relative living in Cheshire East, you can access the website and you can type in the problem that you've got, and they will show you all the groups and all the support for that, whatever it is, be it diabetes, anxiety, epilepsy. They will send you information on everything that is available in your area. And I think more councils are picking up on this.
Yeah, it's about signposting people to the help and supports available.
Pointing
isn't it?
people, because
whether it's local authorities, whether it's charities, whether it's other individual.
It's knowing that this help's
organisations.
actually out there though, because sometimes when you're feeling alone and you're in that position, you don't actually know where to turn to. You know you need help. You might not want to speak to those close around you. So where can you actually then go?
So peer support groups,
Peer
self-help
support
groups. You can talk to your GP. You can start to. We can give people information about dietary advice. Looking after their what they're eating. If you're prone to high levels of anxiety, for example, don't overdo the alcohol. Don't overdo the caffeine. If you're not prone to high anxiety, you enjoy a cup of coffee, fine. But if you are prone to it, that's just going to give you that extra rush, and that extra rush of adrenaline is not going to help. High energy sugary drinks. Which,
but again, if
there
you're
are
putting
many out there, we
sugar
won't
in your
give
coffee, if you're putting sugar in your coffee as well, then you've got the sugar and the coffee.
Yeah. So I mean, simple things like that can help. Exercise we've talked about already can help. And then if you need more professional help, then where can you go? So back to your GP. Your GP may be able to refer you to talking therapy through the
things like
improving
CBT is
CBT
absolutely
therapy.
fantastic.
A lot of people find it works. Some people find it doesn't.
I think there's a lot to be said about the mental aspect of something. Just because you've got to worry about something, sometimes it's changing the behaviour of how you actually think about this. Sometimes they say, don't they, I've got an exam and I'm worried about an exam, but okay, it's a test, but this is actually going to help me and see what else I could need to know. Do I need to learn more? What can I do with it if I have passed? Just because something's there in front of us doesn't mean we have to worry about it, because what's the worst that can happen if we don't pass an exam? Resit it, take it again. It's not going to be life changing.
And CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy, which is very much the common sort of form of treatment for talking therapy for anxiety, we'll focus, the therapist will work with you on those negative thoughts and addressing
changing
those
the way that you
trying
think
to change
them
the way you think about them and
flip thoughts around.
Address those what can often be irrational thoughts. And
I think the other thing that they do
fears.
is as well is if you have got a worry and it is something like, I'm worried about going to that cinema because I went there and there was people in there that weren't very nice when I was queuing, or different little things that actually come from not very much and actually build. They can actually make you, well, hold on, the first thing you're going to do is this week you're going to go to that cinema and you're going to come back next week and you're going to tell me how it made you feel. And you're going to tell them how it makes you feel the week after. You're going to go back to that cinema again and you're going to tell me, actually, did it get any easier? And how can we keep doing this? And I think they make you face what is fearsome to you that isn't actually a danger.
Yeah. And it's often referred to as gradual exposure.
Gradual exposure, completely.
That's very much a common technique with dental phobia, dental anxiety. So we're working with the Centre for Dentistry.
Keep going back to your dentist.
But a lot of dentists these days will work with patients to help them overcome those fears and those anxieties. So they'll say, come in for, just speak to a receptionist for 10 minutes and just be familiar with the waiting room area.
Sit down for a bit.
Then the next time they'll go in and sit and read the paper for half an hour and just sit in the waiting room and not actually go in. And then they'll maybe go into the treatment room for 10 minutes just to meet the dentist and talk to them. So they're building up that exposure slowly but surely.
Slowly, and keep taking note, and keeping a track of how you're feeling,
absolutely,
what you're trying, and setting yourself goals and keep pushing yourself that little bit more.
And
because
simple goals, achievable goals, because if you try to stretch it,
step by step, and keep taking it slowly, because the more you push yourself, actually you're going to overcome it quicker. So what might seem a little bit scary now will actually feel better in the end.
And that's very much the typical approach with CBT therapy. And person-centred counselling is another approach, which is just an opportunity for somebody to get those thoughts and feelings expressed with somebody else, shared with somebody else. Clinical hypnotherapy is another kind of treatment, that talking therapy that we offer.
Acustim pulse therapy is really good, isn't it, as well?
The art therapy, there's all sorts of different therapies. The core CBT counselling, clinical hypnotherapy are our core offers. We also offer alongside that traditional acupuncture, and some people have found that they've tried
Acupuncture is
talking
amazing.
therapy and it's not helped them. They've gone along and had half a dozen sessions of acupuncture and they feel great. So it's very much, our approach as a charity is very much approach is to be open-minded and to
Try
say
holistic methods.
people try other methods.
Think outside the box. Take little steps.
Yeah.
But
And
most importantly, speak to somebody.
talk to somebody, get the help, and you know, your GP might offer you some kind of medication. You know, for some people, medication is the right solution, or a combination of medication and talking therapy.
But each little step helps, and you might find one thing works for you more than another.
And the other way you can access CBT these days very often is online. You mentioned some
That
local
opens it
authorities.
up to more people being able to do it,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
some people, some GPs might refer you to an online CBT course, and there are lots of different ones out there. So some local authorities, some primary care areas, clinical commissioning groups as they're now called, without getting too technical about the structure of the NHS, you'll be able to access online CBT courses there,
And point
and
you
they
in the
can be sort of
direction of
guided.
help.
Yeah, and they'll teach you through and talk you through the different techniques and how you can work through it. CBT is very much, excuse me, I often refer to it as a bit like giving up smoking. You've got to have that willpower and that determination to make it work for yourself, because with
But I
CBT
suppose
there's a lot of
sometimes
self.
with CBT, you could go to it maybe for a month and you might hate it.
Yeah.
You might go to it for 2 months, you still don't like it very much, but it's becoming a bit more acceptable for your own self. But by the end of it, you will feel a little bit better by keep making these steps, and sometimes it puts us out of our comfort zone.
Absolutely.
So that can make us want to run in the other direction, but sometimes you have to keep going through that, because otherwise it's not going to go away.
And between sessions, a therapist will give the individual homework to do.
Which again will make them want to
Which-
go back,
Yeah.
not go back
And
even
that's
more.
where
yeah.
that willingness to engage with it, that commitment to engage
But it's
with
being
it comes in.
proactive and knowing that there
And
is
you've
a
got to put
light,
something in yourself. You've got to want to do it.
the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not going to be plain sailing. You
No,
are going to
absolutely
hit
not.
bumps along that way of
Absolutely.
things you're not going to want to face, but you've got to face these things to get to it, and there is a better day ahead.
And you know, people will often contact us and say, I just want to be cured of this. You know, they expect us to have a magic wand.
But it's not going to go away
it's
overnight.
It's not. And
But you can
wouldn't
make
want to
great
cure it
progress
either.
in a couple of months by
can.
exercise, by diet, by little things, and looking at it differently.
You do have to be a little bit patient though, and recognise it could take
Yeah.
weeks and
Months,
and
even
months
yeah.
before you feel better. And sometimes you'll feel great after 6 to 8 weeks. You'll end the therapy relationship. You'll go back and be fine for 2 or 3 months, and you might have a bit of a wobble and sort of suddenly feel bad for a couple
But you
of
know
days.
that, hold on, there is things I can do.
Draw
What do I
back
need
on
to
the-
start
yeah.
doing? Do I need to start meditating more, eating better?
Exactly.
What have I been doing that's making me
What
feel
have you
like
changed? And sometimes that might need going back to therapists, a couple of booster sessions. So we offer a service.
this? We
where
all need a boost, don't we?
We do.
A few days
So-
in the sun, a few days of healthy eating.
we work with at the moment, about 230 therapists around the country that
Fantastic.
support the charity and offer access to private therapy for those that can't get it through the NHS or privately because it's out of their reach financially. We offer a service where they can access it through ourselves.
Okay.
They become a member. They pay £30 for an annual membership. That helps us.
And that takes the
supports
whole
us.
year's worth of membership.
Whole year's of membership. They get
That's
a free
fantastic.
access to the Headspace app for that. That's part of the package.
Okay,
So they
brilliant.
get a free subscription to Headspace, and then they can access therapy with us at a reduced rate. So some of our some of our clients, if they're not working or they're on really low incomes, they'll only pay as little as £15 for a session of therapy, which is very cheap these days.
Yeah.
The average is about £80 around the country.
Wow.
So it's a huge discount.
But you can
on the
see why some
therapy.
people think it's not accessible for them
Yeah.
when there is little things that can be done, and keep making the little changes and
And if
speak to
after
people, find
6
out
or 8
what's there.
sessions they've finished and they feel great, and a couple of months down the line they feel a bit of a wobble, they can come back and have a couple of booster sessions, go back to their therapist again and
That's all great.
have a couple of extra sessions to support them. And we've got lots of other information and advice. As a member they get a quarterly magazine with lots of tips, and we'll get some
I just got one of your magazines just now.
so
I'll have
yeah,
a read of that
so
later.
there's an article in there with Nick, our celebrity patron,
Brilliant.
about what his experience. So people will share their own experiences with others, and that then, oh yeah, that happened to me.
And all
Oh,
relates
and that's
to
how
people.
they manage that. So maybe I should try that.
That's
There's
fantastic.
exercise tips, there's diet tips, there's information from some of our clinical advisors, people who are leading academics in their field that we work with, giving tips about, you know, medication maybe and what to do.
It's
if
people
medication-
sharing their experiences, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. That's
It's been a
been great,
pleasure.
and hopefully you'll come on in the future and we can cover different types of anxiety that affect people. But today we have been talking about general adult anxiety, and hopefully if you yourself or somebody you know has been experiencing anxiety, we might have hit some points that make you think about how you can cope with things in a different way. As I said, everything will be on Dave's website on Anxiety UK. If you head over to mediasoundwave.co.uk, you will find all the information about Dave and the work that he does on there. Whilst you're there, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and we hope to see you again on future shows. Thanks to everybody involved in today's show. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you here next time on Media Soundwave.